Everybody excited about being in the house of the Lord on tonight. We are so grateful, and God is truly amazing, and we love Him with all of our hearts. Before you take your seats, we just open up in a moment of prayer. Gracious God, our Father, how we honor you, how we adore you, how we thank you for your presence that is in this place. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for this opportunity, God, to engage, to talk to community leaders about the things that are going on in our city, God, how we can come together and make it better. Thank you for this intentional moment. Bless each and every person that is in this building, those that are on their way, those that are watching us online tonight. We appreciate them so, so much. God, thank you for being in our midst tonight. We give you all the praise. We give you all the glory. We give you all the honor. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and thank God. One more time, put your hands together, and you may be seated in the presence of the Lord, truly giving honor to God, who is, again, the head of my life, to Jesus Christ, my best friend, and to the Holy Spirit, our daily comforter. We're excited, and we welcome you to our Thursday night Healthier You Forum right here at United Fellowship Full Gospel Baptist Church, right here in the heart of District D, where we are definitely doing the work. Of course, we give honor to all of our leadership that is in the building on tonight. We thank God for you. I honor my wife, Dr. T, who's out. She's in Atlanta tonight at Woman Evolve, and so we know you're having an amazing time, and we know God's going to bring you back safely. But then again, we're so excited for our streaming audience, those of you who are watching us so faithfully, consistently via YouTube, via Instagram, and via Facebook. If you do me a favor tonight, that you would like this broadcast, tag this broadcast, share this broadcast, because this is a very important time for us as we get together at UFC. And so every month we do these Healthier You community forums where we do our best to make sure we are bringing the representatives of New Orleans leadership to you. And tonight is no different. We are excited because we have a lot of great guests that are so anxious and eager to share with us on tonight. I'm excited about the guests that we have that's in the building on tonight. So I'm going to walk my way right around this table tonight and get excited because we have some great people that are in the house, and I'm going to introduce them, and I'm so excited about this. This is a great opportunity. We're happy to have tonight the Superintendent Roman Nelson from our New Orleans Fire Department. He is in the building on tonight, and we're so excited. Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us tonight. And I know these two ladies on my right that are sitting next to me, Sergeant Shannon Brewer. Y'all know we grew up together at Greater St. Stephen, singing the youth choir and all that good stuff. And look at what God has done. She is here tonight representing the New Orleans Police Department, the Office of Field Operations, and the Community Engagement Unit. And I'm so excited that she is here to share with us on tonight. You look nervous. You good? No. She is in the building tonight. And of course, on the end, I'm so happy. During the daytime, I'm working during the city of New Orleans, and I'm always excited about the opportunity to be a part of that. But I'm so glad tonight that Miss Tyra Brown, the director of the Office of Community Development, is in the building, and so we are excited that she's here. And so we're good to see Michelle Woodfork in the building, running for superintendent. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. So running for sheriff. Of course, we so appreciate you so much, so faithful, always a part of what we have going on. So thank you, and our prayers are certainly with you. Listen, I want to jump into this great discussion that we're getting ready to have tonight. And so, of course, make sure you're sharing this. And also, as we are live on social media, as we have this discussion, we're going to also open the floor up for questions that you may have. But if you're watching online, please feel free during this conversation to share your questions with us online, and we'll do our best to answer them live and in person because this is what we are all about. So I want to start off tonight with our Superintendent Nelson. Quickly, if you could you tell me what does a day in the life of a New Orleans firefighter look like?
Can you hear me okay? The music dropped out, so it threw me off a little bit. I apologize. Well, first off, again, thank you for having me here. Happy to be here. You have a great panel. These young ladies to your right, tremendously talented, work with them very closely, and they always have good knowledge to share. One of the things I think for the fire department that people don't really understand is that the fire department works, our schedule, the way we work is different from pretty much any other job. So our firefighters work a 24-hour on, 48-hour off schedule. So they come to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they get off at 7 o'clock the next morning, and then they're off for 48 hours, and they return at 7 o'clock in the morning on that third day. Wow. What the firefighters do during the day, so they start off the day, we'll just go through an average day in the life of a firefighter, right? So they start off the day by doing housework, right? So we maintain our own facilities. We do the mopping, cleaning the bathroom, scrubbing the toilets, washing the dishes, keeping it clean, everything like that. They do that first thing in the morning. From that point, they may get a little breakfast, and then they go about their daily inspections. There may be hydrant inspections. You know, we check every single fire hydrant in the city of New Orleans at least once a year. And for clarity, because this is always a point of confusion with the public, we're not responsible for maintaining the hydrants. That's Sewage and Water Board. But because we are the primary user of the fire hydrants, we check them to make sure that they're working. And that also helps with our fire rating for the city of New Orleans, our Property Insurance of Louisiana fire rating. That helps to keep everyone's fire insurance as low as possible. We have a Class 1 rating right now, which is the best possible. So we check them once a year to make sure that they're working. We check them once every 5 years to flow test to see exactly how much water they put out. We do occupancy inspections. So every business in their territory, our fire companies go in and inspect them. Some of the more complicated ones like gas stations, and some of the specialized places, our fire prevention inspectors do it. But most of the businesses, our company officers will go in there. The firefighters actually inspect to make sure that it's safe for the public to come in there. Right? So once they finish that, they may have training to do. Every month or so, they have to go out to New Orleans East to actually do hands-on training. Again, it's part of our requirements for the standard training. Every day they do daily training in the engine house that they have to do again to keep up their certifications and everything. And once they complete all of that, they wait for a fire, right? And what people don't realize is that fires are actually the lowest percentage of what we do. Right now, 60 to 66%, I think is the latest number based on the calculations of what our firefighters do as medical calls. So that's the bulk of the calls that they are running on a day-to-day basis. But again, always staying prepared to respond to those fires. And then hopefully every once in a while they get to engage in the community function, a health fair, some kind of community festival or something like that. We like to have our companies come out along with our public education people because we want the kids to see the fire truck. We want the kids to see the firefighters, the gear that they wear, their equipment. We want them to see a firefighter in a mask so that the young children are not afraid if they're ever in a fire and they see a firefighter coming. So it's a pretty packed day on a day-to-day basis.
It definitely sounds like a packed day, and I'm happy to hear that you do so much more. I'm sure many of us don't even recognize all of the things that our firefighters do. We're so appreciative of you, and we're going to definitely dive into a lot more of what you do on a daily basis and how the department functions. I want to turn it over to Miss Tyra. Tell me, because you oversee this office, community development, and I know that is such a broad subject, but could you tell me briefly on a daily basis, what does it look like for you as a director of such an important and impactful office?
So just to give you a little update, I'm actually the director of housing policy, community, and workforce development now.
Let me get my pen and write that down.
And doing that as a director, my day it's a lot of meetings, okay? Come in, the agenda is filled. And because I have this extra department, I'm running from one building to another. So I spend a couple of days at one office and another at the workforce. But for community development, overall, our mission and our goal and what we do is to ensure that there is safe, affordable housing, dealing with programs for preservation of housing. So from my office, we are making sure that just from a housing standpoint, but from the community, the neighborhood, that they have all the amenities that they need surrounded by that housing.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I know we'll definitely dive into that subject a lot more tonight. Sergeant Brewer, I want to ask you that same question. Of course, I see you at every event that we do in the city. You are all over and doing an amazing job. But can you please tell just the people who are watching us online, those who are here, a little bit about what you do in your role with the NOPD?
Okay, so again, my name is Sergeant Brewer. I'm a 21-year veteran of the NOPD, and I'm currently assigned to the Community Engagement section. So I'm assigned to police headquarters. I'm not assigned to a police district, which means I work citywide. So I am at most of the community events that are hosted by the community, and community events that are going to be hosted by the NOPD, where we may put an event together and we invite the community to come out and attend that event so that we can share information. So in my role, I'm an adjunct instructor now at the training academy, previously a permanent instructor, but now I'm only an adjunct instructor because of the other roles that I have. And so in my capacity, I teach the officers, supervisors, as well as command staff about community engagement, how to build relationships, what trust and relationships look like within the community. So I develop these tabletop exercises and scenarios through lesson plans, lecture. It may be problem-based learning exercises that we do with the officers to actually go about showing them how to create these relationships. I also manage, each district has a community liaison officer. Each district has a school resource officer, with the exception of the 8th district, because there's no schools in the 8th district, which covers the French Quarter area. We also have police community advisory boards that I'm also a part of as well. I attend all of those meetings, and those are community-led boards in each police district where NOPD is participating in those meetings. I also audit the non-PAC meetings that the districts do, as well as the other district meetings that they do. Also, the problem-solving activities that those community liaison officers, meaning the concerns that they get from you. So when you all bring us a concern, we actually have to document that. We also have to come up with a solution on how to resolve that concern. And that is what I audit. I want to see what it looks like. So when they give us a community concern and we track it through data analytics, we want to see what the data was looking like when you gave us a concern. And then when we put the strategies in place, what the data looks like now. And that is what I manage. I actually audit that on a quarterly basis. And we put those audits, those quarterly reports online for the community to see. And we also get feedback from you. I coordinate through the Citizens Police Academy, which is going to start on August 9th. We have a class starting up. I'm still accepting applications, which I've left some applications on the table in the back.
Awesome.
I also coordinate all the Night Out Against Crime activities that are going to take place throughout the city. Also the Coffee with the Cop program, Officer Friendly, and DARE program. Those are just a few of the programs that we coordinate throughout the year with the residents here in New Orleans area. So that's just some of the things that I do. There's some other things like being here tonight. And so I think I've had a community event one every day this week, and there's one tomorrow and another one on Saturday. So that's pretty much my role in the community engagement section.
Good, good. Thank you so much. I mean, I guess you can see we have just an exciting panel and so many people that do so many great things. I want to stick with you, Sergeant Shannon, and you talked about all of the things that you are involved in, but we understand that right now within some of our communities there is a trust issue as it relates to our community and police officers or policing. What are some specific steps that you can possibly speak to tonight that as the NOPD and as a community officer, that liaison officer that you're doing, specific steps that you're taking to rebuild that trust with the community? Can you talk about that?
Yes. So some of those steps, as I spoke about the community meetings, it's about listening to you. It's about listening to the community, making ourselves more accessible to the community, opening ourselves up to be able to hear those concerns and actually giving you feedback on the things that we can do, but also being open and honest about some of the things that we may not be able to do, what our challenges are, and how we can work together as a law enforcement agency and the community, how we can work together, not just us putting strategies in place for what you're giving us as your community concerns, but actually working with the community, not telling the community what we're going to do, but working with the community to actually put those strategies in place and asking you, what do you want to see from us? How do you want us to engage with you? What do you want to see? How do you want the officers to appear in your neighborhood? How do you want them to police? Opening ourselves up and being able to be open and honest about some of the things that we can and cannot do as a law enforcement agency, and that we need you. Letting the community know that we need to hear from you. We cannot do this job just by ourselves. And that's an open and honest conversation that we have to have on a daily basis. We cannot do it alone. We need the community, and showing the community that we're here and willing to work with them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Ms. Brown, I want to talk about something within your department and your scope of work. We know that there's so many issues in our community: blight, abandoned buildings, lack of infrastructure in certain areas in our communities. Can you talk about within your scope of work what we're doing or any upcoming initiatives that they may have in place to address those concerns?
Yes, so the Office of Community Development, we actually get HUD funding. So all of our funding comes from the federal government. And as you all know, when you're dealing with the federal government, you're dealing with restrictions, you're dealing with guidelines. So there are certain things that you cannot do. Before we allocate dollars to programs, we do go to the community to see how they would like for those dollars to be spent. And so when it comes to blight, abandoned buildings, infrastructure, the funding that we have pretty much guide how we distribute that money. So from the Office of Community Development, we don't administer programs ourselves at all. What we do, we actually put the money out, which, as you would know, is called the RFP, a request for proposal, or a NOFA, which is a notice of funding availability. And that allows the community to know that this funding is available for the various programs that we have. So for like it's blight, how we're addressing blight is a lot of people, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Katrina. There are a lot of blighted properties that are just sitting. But one thing that many people don't realize is that the city just can't go in and remediate or construct or tear down a house just because it's blighted. Cannot. Especially if the titles, you have to get through that clear title before you do anything. So when it's within our confinement and we are able to address like blighted housing, or if it's in danger, what we would call imminent danger, if it's causing some kind of emergency or endangerment for the neighborhood, then we go in and we are allowed to, tear that house down. We're allowed to be able to do that because it's considered to be imminent danger. However, once we do that and we get clearance, it's all about getting those properties back into commerce. And so in order for those properties to come back in commerce, that's where they have to be redeveloped. And so with my office, what happens is we do that NOFA or that RFP to solicit developers and nonprofits to come in and actually get those buildings back into commerce.
Great. Thank you so much for that information. We'll definitely come back to you to talk a little bit more about that. Superintendent Nelson, I want to come back to you. You mentioned earlier in your introduction that you wanted to make sure that our youth have an opportunity to see firefighters out there. But I know in our community, which is predominantly African-American community, we want to make sure some of our young African-American kids get an opportunity to see you in that role that you do. So can we talk about, from your perspective as a fire department, what are we doing to recruit more local residents? And then also, are there any programs or internships available for youth who may be interested in a career in fire safety or emergency response?
So, well, one of the first things, just talking about the hiring process, all right? So one of the first things that we did to encourage or to help local youth get jobs on the fire department is, post-Hurricane Katrina, prior to Hurricane Katrina, there was a residency requirement for the fire department, the police department, most city departments. That was done away with post-Hurricane Katrina because of the situation with availability of workers. But one of the things that we've done is to add in a hiring preference for local residents. And so if an applicant is a resident of the city of New Orleans, they get additional points in the ranking on the hiring lists that helps them to get hired sooner. To get out there and just to find young people and get them interested in the fire department. Our recruiting team does a fantastic job. Additionally, we just brought on a public relations specialist. For those who are watching and for your congregation who keep up with social media, you've probably noticed a lot more activity from the New Orleans Fire Department on social media recently, and that's all due to our new public relations specialist, Ms. Laura Maiden. She's done a fantastic job and really just helping us to capture what our firefighters are doing, to put it out there to the public so the young people that can see. One of the things we find is that, so when we get out there and we talk to kids in high school, right, who are approaching graduation, looking for jobs, and getting them to understand what an opportunity it is on the fire department, and not just the fire department, citywide, the availability of jobs, but of course we're a little biased towards the fire department, but just getting them to understand the opportunities and the life that they can build for themselves and the livelihood they can build for themselves that the fire department has to offer. You know, the fire department offers an excellent starting salary. After 1 year, it's a little over $50,000, right? But for a lot of high school kids, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? They think you need millions of dollars, right, to survive. So we kind of have to start with explaining to them what that salary means, right? That it means you can afford your own car, your own apartment or house, right? Support yourself, live on your own, and do all of the things that an adult, right, has to do to be successful. And so that's one of the ways we start out, just getting them to understand. But then additionally, the fire department offers educational programs. Firefighters can go to Delgado for free. So we send all of our firefighters to Delgado to get classes to help them promote on the department. But they also have numerous other classes that they can take in different areas to expand their knowledge and skills, not only to benefit the fire department, but also benefit themselves. And then we have additional great educational programs and partnerships with Tulane University, UNO, discounted programs. So there are a lot of things out there that a young person joining the fire department, and opportunities for them to grow and expand themselves and improve not only in the fire department, but as people in general. For young people, as far as internships and things like that, we don't have any formal programs right now, but one of the things that we've started doing is partnering with the city with the summer youth programs to help young people come in and to expose them to the fire department and take them around and see what we're doing. The Carl Holmes Executive Development Institute was recently in the city of New Orleans. It's at Dillard. It's a collaboration with the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters. And this year, our team partnered with them to do a program for young ladies to expose them to firefighting. And then recently, we partnered with NOLA Ready. They had a girls group, a Hurricane is the name of the program, and we actually had them out to the training school earlier this week and did a similar program with them to expose them to the fire department and so they could see what the job actually is and the opportunities. A lot of young women don't understand the opportunities for firefighters and that it is a job that women can do. So we really push to try to expose them to the job and to see what it is so that we get more community members from the community to understand the job that the firefighters do and the opportunities there, because they make much better firefighters that can be out there, engaged with the community, and really support the community in everything they do.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much for that. I want to talk to that subject about community, and I want to go back to Sergeant Shannon. You, in your role, and I know you're born and raised in New Orleans, you're a New Orleans girl, we understand cultural sensitivity, right? Every neighborhood is not the same. This neighborhood may be different from this other neighborhood in this district or so. But from your perspective, what are we doing, or you're doing as an NOPD to ensure that officers that may be coming on into this unit or division, they understand that cultural and historical context of the neighborhoods that they are patrolling, because they may have to interact with people differently. So what are we doing to help them understand that?
So one of the things that the department implemented in our training academy for our new recruits that are coming in, the course is called Cultural Gumbo. And the course, it actually brings in guest speakers to teach the recruits about the city of New Orleans so that they can hear from community members like yourselves. They come in and they speak about different areas of the city, different geographical areas, in the city and some of the differences, some of the cultural differences that may be for our new hires. As you know, we have our new hires. They may be out of the parish of Orleans. They may be out of the state of Louisiana. They may even come from out of the country. We've had them come on to the New Orleans Police Department. And so that is a class that has been embedded into the training academy where recruits coming in can actually get that information. And we also do, as officers, we do yearly training. It's called in-service training. And so each year we have to go into our in-service training. We develop these lesson plans on what the community wants, because I do focus groups myself and I listen to the community. So I'll get a focus group together and I want to know what you all want to see. How do you want us to police? How do you want us to engage with you? So after I gather that information from my focus groups, then I can develop my lesson plan and I know what you want to see for these officers in the community, and that's what we teach.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. I want to come back to Ms. Brown for another question, and then following that, we want to open up the floor for any of you that may have some questions that you would like to ask our guests tonight. And then, of course, I'm going to remind those of you who are watching us live, I see you online. If there are any questions that you have watching us, Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram, feel free. Put those questions in the chat, and we will address those questions as they come up. Ms. Brown, I want to talk about economic inequality. Right. How is the city addressing economic inequality and creating opportunities for job growth in historically marginalized neighborhoods?
So just to let you know, I'm not over economic development, but I will try my best to answer that. With economic development is pretty much trying to get those businesses to come into neighborhoods, but not just getting them to come into the neighborhoods, but to get them to be able to hire and bring job opportunities to marginalized neighborhoods. As you know, when you bring businesses to different neighborhoods, we have to support the businesses. We have to just not bring them here, but we want to keep them here. And so when the city, is planning and they're getting with developers, or they're getting, with different businesses to bring businesses to neighborhoods, the businesses have already done the studies. They have done all of the legwork. They know, what they're coming into. But it's a matter of the city being able to get that business to come and invest in that neighborhood. Now, once they're in that neighborhood, it's up to the people to support the businesses. And that's what we see a lot happening. The businesses are leaving because it's not being fully supported.
So I want to, because in your role, and I know you said there are other opportunities that your office works to help residents within the community to obtain certain things. We've been hearing a lot about fortified roofing program. We've heard a lot about that as something that's available to residents to help them that are in need of getting roof repairs. Is that something that you could speak to tonight about that specific program?
Definitely. The city of New Orleans was the first to start a fortified roof program outside of the state. We did that on last year on the onset of hurricane season. So on June 1st of last year, we implemented and launched a fortified roof program with only $500,000. Out of that $500,000, because we didn't really have enough money, we said we was going to do a pilot, we were able to assist 84 residents with fortified roof. And a fortified roof will actually, there have been bills that have been passed, will help you lower your insurance rate. Okay, a fortified roof can go anywhere, cost anywhere from $13,000, $17,000. The highest we've been seeing is like $20,000, but that depends on the size of your home. But with a fortified roof, it's about energy efficiency, it's about sustainability, it's about resilience. As you all know, New Orleans is prone for hurricanes. And we can have anywhere from at least 5 events a year, and that costs billions of dollars. Well, with this fortified roof program, if you have the roof, it should be able to sustain. And that's what will lower the cost of your insurance, because that means that if a disaster happens, that's less money have to be put out for repairs. Now, the state do have a program that they have. And if I'm correct, I think they said they had over 1,000 applicants. I just learned today, because I had a meeting right before this, our Housing Trust Fund meeting, and right now in the city of New Orleans, we have over 1,200 applications for the Fortified Roof Program. When you're looking at the small pot of money that we have, it's not enough. We need more resources. So what has happened is my office has dedicated another $1 million coming up for the end of this year, will be available for January, to do more fortified roof. And so I would say to residents, yes, there's a waiting list, but still get on the waiting list. I stress, get on the waiting list, because it's based upon eligibility. Everything we do is about income eligibility. So just because people apply, that does not mean that they're eligible. So they go through that waiting list, and it could be your turn to, benefit from that. So I would say, and the agency that we partner with is Rebuilding Together New Orleans. So the city itself, as I said, we don't administer the programs ourselves, but we do partner with different agencies, and that's the agency that you would need to reach out to seek those funding.
Great. Hey, I want to take a moment and pause to see if there's anybody that has any questions that you may want to ask from our panelists tonight. Anybody in the audience has a question? I see one hand go up. All right, and another in the back. We'll come to you.
Good evening. Hi, Ms. Tyra. My question is for you. Regarding the notices of funding, for prioritization of the notice, you said that nonprofits are notified and developers. Are women or people of color, are they on that list? Are they targeted? Are they prioritized? Or, is it just mass sent out to everyone at one time, and whoever replies first with the best bid gets that contract? How does that work?
So it is. It's sent out, and it's a mass listing that goes out if you're on our registry. But you just said something that's very key, because you said women, minority, and all of that. So that's what we call our disadvantaged employers, right? However, President Trump, want to be politically correct, has an executive order of the DEI, right? And so with that, all municipalities or anyone that's seeking federal government, the funding from federal government, we have been barred from having DEI language in anything that we do. So how do you get around that? We do. It's play on words, right? You have to know how to, when they're asking you questions and when you're putting out a note for that, we don't just say we're looking for DBEs, disadvantaged businesses, or things like that. So you have to use words that is open for everyone, and there's no special treatment, as they would say, given to one over another.
Thank you. Thank you. I saw another hand go up. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Good evening. My question is in regarding to the fortified roofing program. The standard for Orleans Parish, the wind, I don't want to say sustainability for the roof program, is that the same as for the state? Or do we have separate?
No, the state is a little different.
Okay.
I'm not sure of all their qualifications, but it's a little different.
Okay. So can you tell me what it is for Orleans Parish?
For Orleans Parish is based upon the income. You have to be 80% AMI, area medium income. That's where your income cannot go. So for a household of one, that's $50,300.
Okay.
If you're not over that, then you will qualify. There is prioritization for our seniors, a household with disabilities, and for veterans.
Okay. Anything as it relates to if you just recently had a roof put on before we actually put this fortified roof program in? Is there any threshold elimination, inclusion as it relates to that? I know the state has it, that's why I'm asking with that question.
When you say you've already did a replacement.
Yes, in 2022.
So what I would tell you is that it's going to come to where everybody is going to need fortified roof.
That's thank you. That's what
Yes.
I needed to know. Okay, and
Yes.
anything about the strength of the roof to be able to withstand up to X amount of wind velocity?
Yes, I'm getting ready to tell you.
Okay.
Great questions
That's
on
what I know
tonight.
here.
Great questions. I love it. While she's doing that,
Thought he
please
had
type
it on
those
here,
questions
but
in.
I think it's like 150 miles and up.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Thank you.
Thank you. So another hand in the back right there. Question. Great questions tonight, you guys. Thank you so much for engaging us tonight.
Hi, how y'all doing? I'm not sure if this is an inappropriate question, but how do government officials receive funding for programs, and how do they issue that out into the community? Because you were speaking about fortified roofing and them not having enough funds to provide for the people, but how do you receive the help yourself within your realm to like support
But
others?
that's a great question. From the city, we receive what's called entitlement funds, right? We do not have to compete for them or anything. We get entitlement funds, and that is based up on the census, the needs. So it's a formula that the federal government do. And from that, we get what's called Community Development Block Grant, which is CDBG funds, when you hear them talking about that on the news. We get ESG funds, which is Emergency Solution Funds. That's for the homeless. We use CDBG for public service. So for public service, we fund all of our senior citizen centers. We fund Job One for the summer youth program, NORD for the summer programs. And then we also do housing, rehab. But under CDBG, you can't do new construction. So you have to realize those ones, like I said, those different regulations. Then there's also what's called home dollars. Home dollars is for new construction and it's for housing. However, for the 2026 discretionary budget from the federal government, they're talking about cutting out home dollars altogether. The city of New Orleans only received $2 million in it, so it's really not a lot. The largest allocation of entitlement funds is we get $12 million from CDBG. And then the last one for housing is called HOPWA. It's Housing Opportunity for Persons with AIDS, and we get $3.9 million for that. So any of those buckets of money, we don't have to do anything. It's automatically come to us based upon the formula that they use. And so in turn, what the Office of Community Development do, because we don't have the capacity to administer programs, that's where we actually do the NOFA or the RFP for people, well, nonprofits to compete for those dollars to assist the different communities.
Great, thank you so much for the question. 2 questions up here quickly. As they're moving, again, I encourage you, if you have some questions, you can send them in the chat. We'll do our best to get those answered for you on tonight. Okay.
I just need to know the agency that you apply. You say something about rebuilding?
Rebuilding Together New Orleans.
Together, New Orleans. Thank you.
Right.
How would an individual go about getting on the list for the fortified roofing?
You would need to contact Rebuilding Together New Orleans.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
I have a question. So in order to get on this program, do you have to be insured or non-insured as a homeowner?
Insured. Insured.
Okay, listen, we'll come back to some questions, but I really want to touch on this because as we've stated before, we're coming upon the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And for all of us, we all know what a difference one day can make in our lives. One day changed everything here in the city of New Orleans. And of course, we know throughout the years we're prone to hurricanes, storms of that nature, but preparedness. Now that we've all seen what can happen in a moment, I want to come back to Superintendent Nelson and Sergeant Brewer to talk about, from your perspective, departments, what can we as residents do to make sure that we are prepared in case of some type of crisis of that magnitude from each of your department perspectives?
So when you talk about hurricanes, right, so we talked about Hurricane Katrina, let's talk about hurricanes. One of the biggest things that we need the public to do is to have a plan, right? You hear that a lot. The state pushes it out. NOLA already talks about it, but it's really important that people know what they're going to need in an emergency, right, and that they are prepared. So if the city calls for an evacuation tomorrow, are you prepared to evacuate? Do you have the wherewithal to evacuate on your own? If you don't, then the city has programs in place, but can you get to a city-assisted evacuation on your own, right? Do you know where to go if you can't get there on your own? All of those kind of things, right? So the city has programs in place where RTA buses will pick up everyone from the normal bus stops and take them to the Smoothie King Center, which will be which is like the coordinating point for the city-assisted evacuation. But some people may not be able to get to the bus or get on the bus on their own, right? So if they need special needs, the city has programs for that, but you need to get registered for those programs. You need to be on the lists, right? So ready.nola.gov, that is the city's Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness website, that you can access those resources. On there, they tell you how to get registered for Smart 911, how to get registered for the hurricane alerts, so that as soon as the city decides to do an evacuation, you can get texted to say, hey, the city is evacuating the CAE, City Assisted Evacuation, and so you know that you need to start getting mobilized. So that's the first thing. If you do have the wherewithal to evacuate on your own, it's very important that you already have a plan for where are you going to go, right? Are you going out of town to family or friends, which is great, right? If you're going to stay at a hotel, whatever, but have those discussions with your family ahead of time so that if it's time to evacuate, everyone knows where the rest of the family is going, right? If the phones don't work, right, you know that you can call those family members or those friends where they're going to, right? Or you can have a family member in between, right, that's out of town as the contact point, right? So if the phones are down and you can get out but you can't get to a New Orleans number, you can call that family member and let them know that you're safe and what's going on. So just thinking through those things ahead of time during these major types of emergencies is a big help.
Sergeant,
I think the chief, the superintendent, I think he kind of gave all the information that I was really going to give on hurricane preparedness, but it is talking to your family, knowing if you take medications, making sure that you're stocking up on that medication, that you've spoken with your doctor, you know where you can access it in the places where you're going to be going to. Checking on those family members, those elderly neighbors, making sure that they have somewhere to go, that they have the information that they need. But also, if you're going to stay, understanding that we're going to have some challenges as well, because we're going to be facing the same challenges as first responders that the community is facing. And so we're very limited on the things that we can do. Of course, we want to continue to provide everything that we can to the community. But if it's a situation, of course, we can definitely, and I was here for Hurricane Katrina. And I stayed here with the department for Hurricane Katrina. But however, taking those things into consideration, you also want to understand that we're limited. We drive in vehicles. And so it's just a vehicle that's like your everyday vehicle. We do have some high water vehicles, right? But it's limited on the things that it can and cannot do. And so it'll be a challenge for us to get to you to provide the services that you need. Being able to register, as he said, with the city, with the ready.nola.gov, registering on that site the needs that you have so that we know what you need and where you are and where to go when we are able to access things in the city and get around the city. how to get to you, to prioritize getting to you, to get you where you need to be. And so we need to have that information, especially if the phone services are down and we don't have a list of where the residents are that are going to need us first. We need to be able to have that information. So if you know what your needs are, your family needs are, your neighbors' needs are, getting that information out to us is very helpful to us.
Great. Couple of questions that we have from people that are watching online for both Sergeant Nelson and Superintendent Nelson and Sergeant Brewer. Quickly, is there an age limit for people wanting to work with the police department or fire department?
There's no age limit to join the fire department. If you can pass the test and meet the physical requirements, you can join the fire department. The only thing is, I'm not sure what the cutoff is, but if someone is above a certain age, they may not be able to enter the pension plan, but then they would have to go into the city's pension plan. But other than that, there's no limit if they're physically able to do the job.
For the NOPD, we hired at age 20 and a half, but there's no limit. You can come on in, you pass the test, our physical test, and our training academy, which is a little lengthy, a little more lengthy than some other agencies, but we definitely welcome and we're definitely hiring.
Okay, Sergeant Brewer, I want to ask you this also from online. Can residents request continuous police presence in their community?
So patrol officers, they're going to patrol the entire district. So of course, as you know, the city of New Orleans is divided into 8 police districts. They're going to patrol that entire district, but they're also answering calls for service. And so here, the New Orleans Police Department, we respond to all calls for service, regardless of what it is. So if someone is calling 911, it may wait a little bit longer than a call for service that's more a priority, but we are going to respond to that call for service. You may even get a call back from an officer that can assist you over the phone, but someone is going to be able to assist you. And so dividing up the officers that are working in those districts in between those calls for service and then just patrolling, which means that we're riding around for visibility so that you all, the residents, can see us, it's always a challenge for us because we're answering every call. And calls come out because 911 is the number that everything is going to go through. And then sometimes if the operator doesn't, because we don't run the 911 center, it's a state-run center. So the operator that's taking that information is writing down what you're saying. And so based on the information that you're giving to them, that's how they're going to determine where that call is going to go, whether it's going to go to fire, EMS, police, MCIU, which is our mobile crisis unit, depending on the information that you're providing to them. And generally, if you're not able to give them enough information, they're going to send police first. And so every call is going to go police first, and then if EMS or fire is needed, if we get there and the person is unable to speak because they're having a medical situation, then we have to notify EMS to come out to the scene because now we can see, we put eyes on a person, but that is going to go to police first. And so that's always a challenge because we're out in the districts and we're responding to everything because generally everything is going to come to police first.
Great. Superintendent, the question is from online, do fire departments still check and replace smoke detectors, and how many detectors should be in a home?
Yes, absolutely. We still install smoke alarms. We still have our program where we will come into the home and install 10-year rated lithium battery powered smoke alarms. We can't replace your hardwired smoke alarms, but we can install those smoke alarms. If a resident, we do a lot for people who have working smoke alarms, but they aren't able to change the batteries. If you have the batteries, we'll also come in and change those batteries in your hardwired smoke alarms. But if you don't have any, then we'll install them for you. The number of smoke alarms is you want to have a smoke alarm inside every one of your bedrooms, and then one outside of the bedroom. So if you have a common hallway that all your bedrooms are off of, then you will have one in each one of those bedrooms and then one outside. If you have bedrooms on one side of your home and bedrooms on another side, then outside of both of those hallways leading to those bedrooms, you want to have a smoke alarm as well. One additional thing that I think is important for people to know is that by state law and now by city ordinance, you also have to have a carbon monoxide detector in your home, even if you have all electric appliances. In the past, homes that were all electric were not required to have carbon monoxide alarms because gas appliances and devices put off carbon monoxide. During Hurricane Ida, what we found in the region, we were fortunate here in New Orleans, but we did have some incidents where people had to be transported to the hospital. And in Kenner and Slidell and some of our neighbors' jurisdictions, people actually died due to carbon dioxide exposure. So that's why that was instituted. So now you have to have a working carbon monoxide alarm in your home. Currently, we're working on programs to install carbon monoxide alarms and to provide them to people that don't have them. Right now, the city has a program through the health department, the Healthy Homes program. So the Healthy Homes requires, not only does it require every rental property to register with the city of New Orleans, it also has funding to provide carbon monoxide alarms for rental properties as well. So the owner of the rental property is supposed to make sure it's installed, but right now we're just concerned about that safety feature. So anyone that's in a rental property that doesn't have a working carbon monoxide alarm, call us and we'll come and install them. The biggest demand that we're seeing right now is for residents who have pre-existing homes that are electric that didn't have or weren't required to have carbon monoxide alarms in the past. We don't have any funding for those carbon monoxide alarms right now, but we're working on getting funding for those alarms as well so that we can help out those homeowners who need them as well. And when we do, we'll put it out to the public and we'll install those the same as we do with carbon monoxide alarms.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Listen, we're getting ready to come to a close for our night. This has been an amazing time, and I'm so grateful for all of our panelists. But before we close, I want to ask all three panelists this question, and I'd love for you to answer and address it as you feel led. Final question for tonight for all three is, what is one thing each of your departments need from us as a community in order for you to serve us better? What do you need from us as a community to serve us better? And how can we, as a church, what does the church need to do to assist you in that area as well? Ms. Tyra, I'll turn it over to you.
So what we need from you from the Office of Community Development is to get more involved as when we're distributing the funding. Before we can release any kind of NOFA or anything, HUD requires us to meet with the community. And we advertise it, we send out notices, and I can assure you, the first meeting, we might have at least 15 people. The next meeting, we have 2. City too big for that. We need you to come out and let us know, what are your needs? Because we're not in everyone's neighborhood. You know what you need. And when you tell us exactly what that community needs, I can assure you, we'll develop a program. We're going to do what we need to do, but we have to hear from the community. And so I would ask the community to get more involved. When you see if it's anything, look at the council meetings when you can, because there's a lot that's going on. We can't just distribute money. We have to go through a process. So we want you to know what's going on, but we also want you to get involved so you can have a say, because it is funding to help the neighborhoods, and we cannot do that if we don't know what you need.
I think I have a similar response, and the districts are open. There are weekly meetings that are taking place in your districts. They want to hear from the residents in that particular district. We have 311 that is open to you, where you can submit information there. We have community liaison officers that are in every district. Those community liaison officers are specifically there for you. Some districts have 1, some districts have 2, some districts have 3, depending on the need in that specific district. Sometimes they come together as an entire unit and they work together to resolve those issues across the city, those specifically related to those nuisance complaints, blighted properties. We work with all the city agencies to do that, but we need to know from you what you need. And so those community meetings, they're set for you. Those police community advisory boards, each district has one. Those are community-led boards. We're in the meeting, but those are community-led boards. And the advantage for the community there is that you get to submit a recommendation, but you also get a response. And it's a timed response, which is what I audit in my office, right? I look at when you submitted that recommendation and how long it takes that district captain to respond. And so that's a process that is beneficial to you as the community to bring us those concerns. We want to hear those concerns from you. And so that's a big advantage for us, listening to the community. But we want you to come out to the meetings. The meetings are not just at the district stations. If you're connected to NOPD News, in the back of the room, I have some hats back there. Those are little stress balls, but it also has a QR code on it. If you access that QR code, it'll take you to everything NOPD. It also tells you when those meetings are going to take place. It tells you everything about the district meetings, and also sometimes we'll post those preliminary stats online. So you get to see what's happening in your neighborhood, but you get to talk directly to district leadership, NOPD leadership in those meetings, and that's very important. I know that's vital for you. There's also information in the back on some upcoming events that we have, and the QR codes are available for you as well.
Awesome.
So from the fire department perspective, and actually Sergeant Brewer touched on it earlier, and I think it's very appropriate for this venue, be your neighbor's keeper, right? It's not the people that are here tonight and the people who are watching online who are going to be in trouble from a fire, right? It's the people who aren't getting this information, the people who don't get out, the people who don't help themselves, the people who don't take advantage of the resources that are available. The biggest thing, the most important thing that you can do is make sure your friends, make sure your families, make sure your neighbors have working smoke alarms in the home. There are a lot of things that we can do to prevent fire, right? We don't have the time to talk about all of those things right now, but that smoke alarm is what's going to save a life, right? That smoke alarm is what's going to wake somebody up if there's a fire and tell them to get outside of the house. It's much better, it's much safer, not only for the public, but for our firefighters, is that when we pull up, everyone's outside, and they say, yes, everyone is out. Now our firefighters can decide how to safely attack that fire, right? The worst thing in the world is when we pull up, a fire's raging, a car's in the driveway, and we have no idea whether someone's inside. And now our firefighters have to go inside and search around in the smoke and the fire to see if there's a victim in there. So working smoke alarms, please tell your friends, tell your families, tell your neighbors. When you go over and visit, take a look on the ceiling and see if their smoke alarms are working, right? Because that really is what saves lives. And that is why we've seen such a marked reduction in fire fatalities. Unfortunately, we had one about a week or so ago, funny situation with burglar bars on the doors where we couldn't get in and time was delayed. And we also got some bad information, but it's just that smoke alarm really makes a difference. So please, if there's one thing that you can do, spread the word, check on your friends and families, and make sure they have a working smoke alarm.
Awesome. Can we just give it up for our panel tonight? An amazing, amazing discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. It means the world to us to take time out of your schedules to come and just share with us on tonight. Of course, at the close of service, we encourage you to shake their hands, talk to everybody, and let them know how much we appreciate them for taking time to be with us. Listen, before we close, even in this moment,